No one expected what happened in Glendale. But the moment the gates opened at State Farm Stadium, something unbelievable took over the air. A sea of red, roaring louder than the home crowd itself. What followed wasn't just a football game. It was a statement, a reminder, a warning to the entire NFC. And today we're breaking it all down. Niner fans didn't just show up. They flooded State Farm Stadium and turned it into a second home. And right in front of them, San Francisco delivered a performance that felt less like a matchup and more like a mission. A dominating 41-22 victory over the Arizona Cardinals that sent a message across the league. This wasn't a normal week. This felt like a must-win, and the Niners walked in playing like a team that understood exactly what was on the line. From kickoff to the final whistle, they controlled the pace, the energy, and the scoreboard. And look who's back. Brock Purdy returned to the starting lineup for the first time since that early season stretch when injuries pushed him to the sideline. But tonight, he looked sharp, confident, steady. His timing, his reads, his presence, all there. Sure, San Francisco still has things to clean up, especially on third downs, but Purdy brought rhythm back to this offense. Arizona didn't do themselves any favors. Penalties piled up and crushed their momentum over and over again. But credit belongs to San Francisco for taking advantage of every mistake. This wasn't luck. This was preparation, discipline, and execution across the roster. And let me pause right here. Before we continue with the latest updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the newest NFL breakdowns. Alright, let's move on to the latest news. This win mattered more than the scoreboard. The NFC playoff race is tightening, and the Niners entered today trailing teams that all picked up victories. The Rams, the Bears, the Packers. The pressure was real, the stakes were high, and dropping this game could have pushed them deeper out of the picture. Now, as Sunday Night Football approaches, the Rams sit at the top of the NFC, with the Eagles chasing close behind. Philadelphia faces Detroit tonight, a game that could shake up the entire seeding again. Meanwhile, the Bears hold the NFC North. The Buccaneers still lead the NFC South, and the wildcard slots are filled with the Seahawks, Lions, and Packers. San Francisco, at 7-4, remains on the outside looking in. But this season still has plenty of chapters left. And if today proved anything, it's that the Niners aren't backing down from the fight. More challenges are coming. More must-win moments are on the schedule. And after a performance like this, one thing is crystal clear. San Francisco isn't done yet. Stay with me. The importance of this win becomes even clearer when you look at the tangled NFC playoff picture. Weeks ago, Green Bay's tie against Dallas shifted everything. San Francisco technically has more wins, yet the Packers still sit ahead because of that slightly better winning percentage. One tie, and suddenly the entire wildcard race feels like a puzzle missing a piece. That's how tight, how dramatic, and how unpredictable this NFC chase has become. But the beauty of this game, the Niners didn't rely on one hero. Contributions came from every angle, and the energy started immediately. Right out of the gate, Sky Moore delivered a moment that changed the tone of the entire afternoon. A stunning 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. All week long, there had been whispers that Moore was due for a big breakout play. He'd been inches away on multiple occasions. And finally, with thousands of Niner fans watching inside that stadium, he exploded down the field and delivered. The momentum built instantly. One offensive snap later, Christian McCaffrey cut through the Cardinals' defense and found the end zone again. And he didn't stop there. More than 120 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and another reminder of why he's one of the most dangerous weapons in football. Then came a moment many had been waiting for. Brock Purdy's first full drive since Week 4, and it felt like a breath of fresh air. He operated the offense with calm and clarity, going 4 of 5 for nearly 70 yards before dropping a gorgeous 30-yard touchdown strike to George Kittle. It was the kind of throw that quiets doubts and reminds you exactly why this team trusts him. Coming into this week, there were questions about his health. Would he be himself? Would that foot hold up? Would rust slow him down? But once the ball was snapped, the answers came quick. He moved well, extended plays, trusted his reads, and handled pressure with the poise that defines his style. Maybe he didn't have his full velocity back yet, but the touch, anticipation, and processing that make him special were all there. Today didn't look like a quarterback fighting through pain. It looked like a quarterback returning to form. Arizona didn't do themselves any favors with the mountain of penalties they committed, but that doesn't take away from the fact that San Francisco pounced on every opportunity. They stayed disciplined, stayed focused, and played like a team fully aware of what this game meant. Stay with me. Arizona may be sitting on a rough record, but anyone paying attention knows this team has fought hard all season. 5 of their losses came by a single score, and that competitiveness showed again, but so did their biggest flaw: penalties. And in this game, those mistakes didn't just sting. They crushed them. At one point, a 60-yard touchdown run that could have flipped momentum was erased by a holding call. That moment summed up Arizona's entire afternoon. Flashes of brilliance constantly undone by self-inflicted wounds. 17 penalties. 130 yards lost. Their highest total in nearly a century, literally since the 1930s. It was wild to watch, and it handed San Francisco opportunity after opportunity. Look only at the box score and it may appear as if the Cardinals outplayed the Niners. Almost 500 yards of offense for Arizona compared to San Francisco's 281. Jacoby Brissett with over 450 passing yards, while the Niners didn't crack 200 through the air. Even on third downs, Arizona held a slight edge. But those numbers don't tell the full story. San Francisco struck fast and struck first, forcing Arizona into a pass-heavy chase mode. Combine that with costly flags, and suddenly the stat sheet becomes misleading. The Cardinals were digging themselves out of holes on almost every drive, and when you spend that much time playing from behind, your yardage piles up, not your chances to win. All week long, one truth kept coming back. This young Niners defense is thin, wounded, and still growing. Without key leaders like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, they lack the muscle to control games on their own. They struggle against the run, struggle to pressure the quarterback, and rely heavily on the offense to set the tone. And today, the offense answered that call. San Francisco kept the scoreboard moving quarter after quarter, 13 in the first, 12 in the second, 10 in the third, and 6 more in the fourth. That steady pressure gave the defense exactly what it needed: breathing room. Brock Purdy delivered a 3-touchdown performance, George Kittle found the end zone twice, and Christian McCaffrey continued his dominance with 3 total touchdowns of his own. It wasn't perfect football, but it was complete, balanced, commanding. Even though the defense didn't generate much pass rush and wasn't sharp against the run, key moments, like that holding call wiping away a long touchdown, swung the momentum back in San Francisco's favor. And unlike Arizona, the Niners didn't waste those chances. Stay with me. When a defense is banged up, missing stars, and struggling to generate pressure, there's only one way to survive: force turnovers. And for most of the year, that's exactly where San Francisco has fallen short. It's been an ongoing issue stretching back to last season. Interceptions were rare, momentum-changing plays even rarer. But today the defense finally delivered the kind of takeaways they've desperately needed. Malik Mustafa jumped a pass from Jacoby Brissett and fought through contact to secure a tough, contested interception. Not long after, Diamador Lenore snatched another one and came inches away from taking it all the way back. Those are the kind of plays that shift energy in an instant. Then came the goal line stand, a moment that symbolized this defense refusing to fold. Curtis Robinson delivered a punishing hit that jarred the ball loose, and newcomer Keon White pounced on it before Arizona could recover. Touchdown erased. A drive shut down. A momentum swing that mattered. Special teams added fire as well. Sky Moore's blazing 98-yard return set the tone early, and Brian Robinson followed later with another explosive return of more than 40 yards. Every phase stepped up. Offensively, it was the same trio leading the charge: Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey, each doing exactly what this battered defense needs: putting points on the board and taking pressure off the other side of the ball. And while there were a few risky throws that could have gone the wrong way, the Niners still walked out with a flawless 3-0 advantage in the turnover battle. All of it, special teams, offense, defense, combined into a complete, confident performance. A 41-22 victory. A 7th win of the season. Another strong road showing at 5-2 away from home. And, maybe most importantly, a resumed boost in the tightening NFC race. There's more ahead. More to break down. More to explore as this team fights to stay alive in the postseason battle. Stay with me. When a defense is banged up, missing stars, and struggling to generate pressure, there's only one way to survive: force turnovers. And for most of the year, that's exactly where San Francisco has fallen short. It's been an ongoing issue stretching back to last season. Interceptions were rare, momentum-changing plays even rarer. But today the defense finally delivered the kind of takeaways they've desperately needed. Malik Mustafa jumped a pass from Jacoby Brissett and fought through contact to secure a tough, contested interception. Not long after, Diamador Lenore snatched another one and came inches away from taking it all the way back. Those are the kind of plays that shift energy in an instant. Then came the goal line stand, a moment that symbolized this defense refusing to fold. Curtis Robinson delivered a punishing hit that jarred the ball loose, and newcomer Keon White pounced on it before Arizona could recover. Touchdown erased. A drive shut down. A momentum swing that mattered. Special teams added fire as well. Sky Moore's blazing 98-yard return set the tone early, and Brian Robinson followed later with another explosive return of more than 40 yards. Every phase stepped up. Offensively, it was the same trio leading the charge: Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey, each doing exactly what this battered defense needs: putting points on the board and taking pressure off the other side of the ball. And while there were a few risky throws that could have gone the wrong way, the Niners still walked out with a flawless 3-0 advantage in the turnover battle. All of it, special teams, offense, defense, combined into a complete, confident performance. A 41-22 victory. A 7th win of the season. Another strong road showing at 5-2 away from home. And, maybe most importantly, a resumed boost in the tightening NFC race. There's more ahead. More to break down. More to explore as this team fights to stay alive in the postseason battle. Stay with me. The message from today's win is simple. San Francisco finally delivered the kind of complete performance they've been searching for. Offense, defense, special teams, every layer of the team found ways to contribute. And honestly, it's been a long time since the Niners walked away with multiple interceptions in one afternoon. When you consider how much this defense has struggled recently. Stopping the run, holding strong in the red zone, getting pressure, controlling third downs, their margin for error has been razor thin. That's why winning the turnover battle 3-0 didn't just help. It saved them. It was the difference between simply surviving and taking command. But let's be clear about something. This defense isn't back. Not yet. There are still real questions about how they'll handle elite offenses. We saw what happened against the Rams, a team that just knocked off Seattle, with a lineup full of weapons. Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Karen Williams, a steady offensive line. That's the kind of unit that exposes weaknesses, and the Niners felt that firsthand. So today's success against Arizona is promising, but it isn't the final answer. The real test arrives when they line up against the heavy hitters of the league. And speaking of tests, next week is not the easy cruise many expected when the schedule first dropped. Monday Night Football against the Carolina Panthers suddenly looks dangerous. They just pulled off a dramatic win, and they've been far more competitive than anyone predicted. Add in the chaos happening in the NFC South, the Buccaneers battling injuries and losing momentum, and the Panthers are right in the mix for their division. That means they're coming into Levi's Stadium with urgency, belief, and something to fight for. That makes them dangerous. San Francisco will need to be sharp, and they'll need to be healthy. Unfortunately, an injury today added a shadow to the win. Eddie Pinheiro left early with a hamstring issue, a concerning development for any player, but especially for a kicker who relies on the precision and strength of that muscle every single snap. Despite having an extra point blocked and missing another, Pinheiro has been perfect on field goals this season, and he reminded everyone why with successful kicks from 48, 47, and another 47 yards. Losing him, even short-term, could create major problems. Hamstring injuries linger. They slow players down. And for a kicker, even the smallest strain can change everything. Stay with me. San Francisco has lived on the edge all season, grinding through one-score battles week after week. And now, with Eddie Pinheiro dealing with a potential hamstring issue, the uncertainty at kicker becomes a genuine concern. In games this tight, one missing piece can tilt everything. But even on a day filled with injuries and questions, moments of brilliance still shined. Brock Purdy and George Kittle officially climbed to number 2 in franchise history for quarterback to tight end touchdowns, an achievement that reflects how lethal their chemistry has become. It's rare to see a duo grow this quickly, this seamlessly. Purdy earned praise from Kyle Shanahan afterward, And it's easy to understand why. Look at what he's done. Efficient, fearless, steady, and unshaken even after weeks away. Today felt like another step forward, both in his play and in his recovery. He looked healthy, he looked comfortable, and he looked like the quarterback this offense needs in the stretch run. As for Pinheiro, tests will reveal whether the injury is a minor setback or something more serious. A kicker with a damaged hamstring is always a worrying storyline, especially heading into Monday Night Football. San Francisco just has to hope the news isn't as bad as it sounds. One player who deserves real credit is Diamador Lenore. Questionable before kickoff, dealing with a calf issue, yet still went out there and delivered a big interception, even if he did give up a long play earlier. That kind of toughness matters. But the injuries keep piling up. Linebacker depth is thin, and losing Tatum Bethune to a possible high ankle sprain only makes things tougher. He's been one of the most productive defenders on the roster recently, stacking double-digit tackle games. With Nick Martin finally seeing snaps, Curtis Robinson flashing moments, and Luke Gifford stepping in on short notice, this unit is patching itself together week by week. It didn't help that Arizona racked up 207 more yards than San Francisco, the largest yardage gap overcome by any winning team this season. Before today, teams outgaining their opponents by 200-plus yards were undefeated. That streak ends now because turnovers and penalties changed everything. Arizona's mistakes dug their own grave, and the Niners capitalized. In the end, San Francisco walks away with a gritty 41-22 victory, pushing their record to 7-4 and keeping themselves alive in a chaotic NFC race. Stay with me,